program. And the idea of this program today is an ambitious program that will cover a lot of moments and conversations at the end, but is a little bit ambitious. But if you go as planned, it will be possible to go through it. The main idea of the assembly is that it's the only official meeting we have every year for DESIS members. All other meetings are optional, related with specific activities, but the assembly is, by our agreement, a very important moment for international coordinator to show what is doing, what is being done, to provide some news, to listen from you about what is going on. And so this conversation that is very important for the network. And it's also a moment to when we need to change something, to decide how to change, or if we need to change coordinator, or as you know, I'm arriving at the end of my 4 years. I have been the coordinator first time from 2017. I start, and now it's 2020 for 4 years. So I talk a little bit about that. We are waiting. I don't know if he's already here, as you. That as always in our assembly, he will gonna make an introduction or a view of what is going on in social innovation. He's our president and founder, but he's also a scientific advisor for us. So we always ask this. Then we will continue the program with other activities that is related with the change of coordinator, DESIS students, that's the role of students in DESIS, and DESIS statements that you have all received. If you don't have received for some reason, please tell us in the chat so Mateus can help you to have this document that will be very important for the final moment of our assembly. As you know, or if you are following the mails, we use it to call it manifesto, and now the name changed. So this is the same idea, of course, the same direction, not the same idea, but you the name. So what you can see that coordinators, and they did I'd like to acknowledge how much was in these first I think it was 2 years, because they organized the basis of what DESIS is today. Website that was.
I'm sorry, Carla. I think she lost her connection. Mateus, please, can you check if Carla will be able to return to the room? Thanks.
She said we should continue if anything happened.
Yes.
I think she...
Oh, there she is. You're muted.
Sorry, it's being a really challenge today. My first time that this happens. I try to change to cell phone and
I'm sorry, but Carla, if I could make a suggestion, I would say for you to turn off your video, so maybe your connection will be lighter, so you can present the screen.
Okay. So new times.
Ezio is here, by the way.
Great, wonderful. So great. So we can turn back to our original program and give the word give the floor to Ezio, because Ezio is in our program the first. So I will continue our journey after him. So Ezio, are you there? Are you ready? No. So maybe not.
I think he's trying to connect the audio.
Oh, we can change the order. So I will continue. I hope the network helped me now. And so I would like to acknowledge this. So what I was saying is that they create the procedures, the statement, the DESIS agreement, the procedures for people to join the network. They create the communicative platform. So the website that is still the same, and now the website collects a lot of knowledge, and this is a story that is all posts are there. So this was the beginning. And this assembly in 2016, by the end, it was in a Cumulus conference in Hong Kong. I start my journey as coordinator. So they, what was the situation when I started? So this is a map done by students on China, Jiangnan University. I don't know if I pronounce it well, Jiangnan. That is Professor Miao Zedong. They created this map because why I'm showing this map? Because when I started the coordination of DESIS, there was a lot of projects in the platform, in the website, lots of labs. It was a collection, a big collection that was done in 2014. David, if I'm wrong, please help me. But the idea of my coordination is say, okay, but who are the members of DESIS? Who are they? What they do? So we see some projects in the website, but what they are doing? What is DESIS? So the main idea of the program was to really open up the possibilities to create a knowledge that connects the dots to understand who we are. So what we were doing together for Design for Social Innovation. In the first idea was to create a kind of map to collect, to understand what we were doing. So our first activity was to, and this is in our website, to organize these ideas and say, what are the main areas you are working with? What are the main trends when you think about Design for Social Innovation? So it was a kind of investigation somehow. So why this was important? When you are coordinator, you say, what can I do? After the end of the assembly, you say, okay, I'm coordinator, what are we gonna do? So the idea was to do that for create a knowledge exchange. I don't know if you follow it was a long journey. If you follow the website, if you follow the social media, but we used to collect projects, organize projects, and disseminate your projects on the social media to people to know what we are, who we are, what we are doing. So it helps us also to run and create this strategy for communication, for DESIS to be, to increase our connections with society. In parallel, this could create also opportunity for conversations, because if you know each other, we can discuss and we can. So this was the process I aim to start in this coordination program. So I would like to stop a little bit because all programs have people, and this is me and Ezio looking to the map. So I put this image because for somehow I would like to really thank Ezio, because it was very important when we start the idea to make this map. We really look at your projects together to understand what was going on. So I remember this workshop, this day, myself and Ezio looking for the projects and saying, okay, let's understand what is DESIS producing and doing now. So his presence all over the process was key, and he was very active and it was a kind of very important colleague in this process. And this is Rita. And what makes us fly is that we have Rita with us. Rita, say hello. Rita, are you there? Rita has the first one that started.
Yes, I'm here.
Oh,
hello, everybody.
The first person that helped us to start this process and to say, okay, we now understand the projects done in 2014 that was in the website when we started. But now we needed to collect new projects. We needed to understand new projects, what they are doing now. So we start this kind of collection that many of you participate, that now is also available in your labs to update the description of your projects and create a new knowledge of what you are doing. So to update information of all your activities at the nodes at the DESIS labs. So Rita was very, very, very important this moment too. So many of you remember her. This is Luisa that also helped us a lot in the transition when Rita finished this process. She started to run the communication channels. And this is Mateus and English that I have introduced you. They are students in our DESIS lab in Rio de Janeiro, and they were very important to run all the activities. And there are so many to do when you are coordinators, so update social media, manage affiliations, and answer mails, and keep the website updated, and develop new activities. So it's a lot of work, very wonderful work, but so they were very important in this process. So I trace a little bit the story, so short, but I will pass mapping the assemblies. So we did an assembly coding, and what I can say of this assembly, I don't know if some of you were there, maybe someone was not even a member at that time. It was a conversation, and it was really nice. We gathered around a circle to talk about DESIS, and it seems very simple, but it was very powerful. I presented my plan, we discussed it. So the conversation was the key word of this assembly, and it was the first assembly that and the idea to map your initiatives and give it some knowledge of what DESIS is doing was also confirmed there. So it was very interesting. Then we had the assembly in Milan next year. And it was, you can see again, we are around the conversation. So it was really a series of conversations. And I consider that this series of conversation was very important for my coordination to listen what you are doing, to confirm what we are doing. So instead of creating instead of creating a kind of presentations, the idea was really and I think that this coordination amplified the opportunities for us to talk, and I will show you later. So in this conference, in this assembly, I presented the first 3 areas that were signing and was clusters of activities you have done. So that was a group of projects that were related to cities and city making and collaborative cities and the different dimensions of this city as focus. There was a group of projects related with services and with service design, the design of services and care. And it was a group of projects. Of course, these are big groups. Of course, they have overlaps, but that was related with local economy and job creation and resources. That was a 3rd group. So in this assembly, we discussed that. And this generates some booklets that are being edited. The first one is already done. And the series of books corresponding to these 3 areas. So it was the first booklet. It's a collection of projects that we observed in the website. So it's not pretentious, a kind of very complex concepts. It's a collection of projects give us a view of what we are doing. And then inside this publication, you can see the clusters, the subclusters of activities that are being developed by the DESIS labs. So these are some pages. Each of these booklets have an exhibition. So this was done in China, in Tongji University. So they received the posters that came from the first booklet and printed it and organized this exhibition. And you can see some of your projects here. It was a very simple idea. So to showcase these projects that are in the booklet in an exhibition, it's also the Tongji University College of Design was one of the first labs that accepted our invitation. So we had this in parallel of the Design for Collaborative Cities conference. Then we had the booklet 2 was about social innovation services and interpersonal relations. Very nice areas you are working with. So we will propose conversations about these publications. So the Jiangnan University DESIS Labs accept our invitation. So they organized this exhibition on Cumulus Conference in Wuxi. So Professor Miaozen and the team there with us. And it was a moment of many conversations about the projects. And I would like to acknowledge they have these students, this group of students guided by Professor Miaozen, created this DESIS map that I found it very interesting. And they say it was part of our discussion to create the exhibition. So it was a great process for us. So the students again, students became our students in the DESIS lab, and the students in many situations we had during the coordination show how they are important. They are one of the drivers for DESIS. So they are here. And the third is now under production. It's now being finished, is about social innovation entrepreneurship. And this is, you can see the authors, Francesco and Spyros, is the idea that we have also other colleagues from other DESIS labs as authors and participating in the DESIS coordination. So it was a research about DESIS that happens during the coordination. And I stopped here to say that during this time, DESIS was studied by researchers. So it's important social innovation projects that took place during my coordination. And I had the opportunity to participate, to give the view of DESIS. They have analyzed many other social innovation networks, so like Fab Labs, Hackerspaces, and we were listed as one of their networks. So it was I consider it an important moment for DESIS. We don't even always recognize what we are doing, but being considered as important networks to be analyzed. And it was very interesting to trace the history of DESIS in this, because what we are doing and what our history together. And the last one, that's the one that is the one that many of our activities that will be presented today were discussed. This happens in Bogota, and very happy that happens in Latin America. And it follows the same idea of conversation that the previous assembly, but this was a little bit different for a reason, and I will show why. You see, these pictures show a little bit what happens in the assembly, and they were also to be discussed today. So, as always, that is a speech for Ezio, and I was presenting the thematic areas, the areas that you are developing in DESIS, and my plan was at that time to finish it on 2020, this year. But as you know, COVID-19 arrived, and I will present what we have done. So we have postponed this process, of course, for more urgent matters. As you open up and with colleagues there, that the conversations were running, conversations about the present and future of social innovation, design, and sustainability, because we are a network of design for social innovation and sustainability. So the conversations are in our website, and they gave rise to the process that they based the process that finished with the DESIS statements that will be also discussed today. And you see this board here. This board was a workshop we did there to discuss the role of students in DESIS. So the Assembly of Bogota was the starting point of our process that will be presented today by Ingrid about the DESIS students. So it was really built in the Assembly. So the characteristics of this process. So it was really born in DESIS Assembly. And I'm very happy to say that an intuition that I brought there started to flourish in the DESIS Assembly. So a DESIS Assembly is not only to showcase, but to develop new ideas. And I think that from the first assembly to this, I think that starting to have conversations and starting to have workshops and proposals were a kind of evolution in our way of relating, in our way to see assemblies, and in our way to design together as a network, because we are in a learning process to do that. So Bogota Assembly brings that, and Ingrid will tell you more about this in the program. And we had COVID-19. And I said the process we are following of the DESIS map and thematic areas booklets were stopped, and we were asked to provide quick responses. So some of you were there, many of you, because it was hundreds and hundreds of people, and there are people outside the Zoom room, and it was a wonderful conversation, and it was very healing in a moment very critical that we did this conversation, that we did this to, it's very difficult for us to manage time zones, but we did it for more towards America and more towards Asia to take everybody on board, to have opportunities to talk. And it was a very powerful moment of, maybe it's very personal, but I thought that it was a different moment for this, is the kind of conversation that happened there. And the idea was to talk about our projects, initiatives under the COVID-19. And we also had a conversation on July 2020 that was related of also how environmental issues and under COVID, so and bringing in also the idea of continue the conversations reframed. So that's it. We have other moment of conversation online. So we did a repository, so your projects are there, and this is the link. You can take a look. There are more than 30 projects there representing the quick response of DESIS Labs to COVID-19 crisis. We organized this quickly, and of course, this all was one of the reasons that we stopped the thematic areas process and other processes in DESIS coordination to do this kind of work, to exchange knowledge. So they can also be part of, hopefully, I hope one day, another booklet that can analyze what is here and what we have done together or alone or in our labs in this period. So you can see the collection there. So this is I put a print stream of some of them. And as always, we collect projects to make publication initiatives, but also to boost our social media. And we did that for the projects. So the projects were there. So it's you as members of DESIS can boost your project colleague projects in the networks to increase our communication and interaction with people. If you visit our social media, you can forward, you can discuss, but we did this work of communication all over the coordination. We did also, and I thank very much François Gegou and the Strategic Design Scenarios that invited us to collaborate in this exhibition in Lille, World Design Capital, online, but it was a kind of also way, exhibitions is also a way to give visibility to your projects. So they were there. So some of you send and participate. And we engage on call for papers. So we review process as patronage of DESIS to this call for papers, also to increase interaction and communication between members and the members with society also, because it will be published available. And the idea is there's so many contributions that will be 2 special issues. The first one will be issued, it's expected to be issued before Christmas. Okay, so that COVID, it was always all activities in 2020, in the middle of COVID. It was very happy to say that we did it in this situation. So the DESIS students that Ingrid will detail more. So I will just say that is, we did a lot of activities, and besides of all these activities with DESIS students, and we have been reflecting the role of students in DESIS. This was one of my contributions to the Conversations 2020. And some of the first insights is that students could drive, could help, could support, could inspire DESIS network. So the idea to have a space or dedicated to students is something that is growing up in our coordination, and we did some activities on that to explore this possibility and how students can bring also new energies to the main traditional DESIS network. So new ideas are coming, I hope. So if they feel themselves involved on that, or they feel themselves asked or involved and motivated more than everything to participate in DESIS. So the labs, I'm finishing. The labs are something very interesting, DESIS. Something that I can say. We have a lot of new labs in these 4 years. And but one interesting thing is that it's very, you cannot really control it, because it's a little bit, people are active because life is long. We have 10 years in this network since the very beginning. So sometimes some labs are more active, sometimes they are not so active. Sometimes we have a lab that disappear for 5-6 years and then they appear. So appear very actively or answering, so it's all community live, is a mesh work of people. So we try to map these labs, but they follow the formal procedures. For example, we have some labs that made the first step, but they are not in our website because they didn't send the second step. So they are in or they are out. So it's the first step is say, okay, the international coordination said welcome, but so there are many different situations in managing the labs, but so there are some labs that are one leg in, one leg out. There are labs that say, okay, I need to take a time, and okay, please do it. And there are labs that reappear very powerfully, and this is all life. But we try to manage it the best way possible with the support of ICC. About France, And DESIS Friends, that is a term that we are renewing now. We became a little bit forgotten over the years. We have now a formal agreement with Cumulus, a memorandum of understanding that was signed, so to establish how and modalities that we collaborate. So it was really, really interesting. I thank you very much, Mariana Matulo in Asia, for this process. And it was very important because we have a long-term collaboration with Cumulus, but not really, what was not really so formal like now. And it is very interesting and useful for us. So that's it. I would like to finish with 3 images. And about after all this adventure, that is a kind of marathon, because there is this everyday management of the DESIS all over 4 years, and have these activities that pump out and then say, let's do new activities, coordinations. And the coordination needs to do also new things. And now DESIS network members are feeling themselves. And we have, for example, the philosophy talks. We have design for collaborative cities. We had, so the coordinator don't need to really host all the activities like the participation of Francesco and Spyros in the 3rd booklet. And so the participation of DESIS Labs in activities related to the central coordination is increasing, and this is amazing. Or the proposals like thematic clusters, thematic areas. And so please feel free to join every time you can, because you are the life of the network. 3 images is these images that I already used of the meshwork, this life entity of labs and people, and that is amazing to be part of this all over these years. And you are amazing, and I have learned a lot when serving you also as coordinator. I would like to thank you also here. Many of these dots are the International Coordination Committee. That is a long committee. The names are in the website, and they are also an important part of DESIS coordination, their activities, their proposal, their way of reviewing the lab's affiliations, and the way they support the coordinator in the first role. The International Coordination Committee has also this supportive role for coordination, and is also friends. And this image I played, I took this again because this is one of the insights we have about the professors and students, and how could you bridge how students can participate more in DESIS. So I take this picture as something that is inspiring in the end of my coordination, the idea that students, and I don't know if they will accept this invitation, this will make sense for them. I will let Ingrid tell you if this is making sense or not as a student, but it's something that inspired me, because said, let's see it, if we can have some activities dedicated to them. And this is an image I took for one of our conversations, and I will finish this. I put some, because some people here I didn't know personally. I don't know if they want to be shown in this way, but there are a lot of people that are not here, but the conversations we have online over this year, and conversations in the assemblies, and everything that happens between us was, I think that if now our network, our meshwork is more stronger, or our community is more, I think that will be a great result of my first question: who we are. Who we are together. So the last word of this question: who we are together. I think that I started who we are. Now I felt over these years, at least in the last 2 years, who we are together are getting more powerful in DESIS. So thank you all for that. Gratidão, grazie, thanks. The 3 languages I speak more or less well. for this time together. Thank you.
Good.
Thank you. Ezio, now I give the floor to you, please. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Who is coordinating?
Coordinating what, Ezio?
It's me? It's me that I have to talk? Okay.
Yes, it's your time.
Okay.
The
Thank
program is you, please. That's why. Give the floor to you.
Yes, fantastic. So thanks to everybody. Now I'm very happy to see all your faces together, not all, but many of your faces together. And it's really moving. And first of all, thanks to Carla and to her fantastic team of Ingrid and Mateus, because they really did a big work, super big work. And the presentation that Carla did now, at the same time, give a kind of list of what we did during these last 4 years. And at the same time will permit me to do what I'm supposed to do now very shortly, and is to give a little bit more of context on where we have been and something that open to where we are in general and as a DESIS. And I would say, in my interpretation at least, if the keyword when we started with Carla, that was 4 years ago, was the Carla motto, that was who we are, who are we? And it was for us very important in a context that appeared at that moment relatively clear. So we had the main issue, the main question was about who were we, that had been emerging in that context. Now I will dare to say that the motto is where we are, because in the meantime, everything changes so fast that to rediscuss what we are and what we want to discuss and what we want to become has to in some way refocus where we are and what are the relationships that we can establish and what can be DESIS and the role of the School of Design, because at the end we are a network of School of Design in this new context. So of course I cannot and will not now make the story very long. Some of you maybe have seen that we started some conversation in the website, and we will come back on this point afterward, because one of the main issues of today is also to introduce the state of the art in a kind of work in progress that we call DESIS statement, but we will talk about this specifically afterwards. Now I want only to say that we have already started a conversation to challenge where we are. I have to say, maybe now I don't know if I can say for everybody, but of course I talk for myself. And my impression is that who started DESIS more than 10 years ago now had an intuition that was, in my view, a very valuable intuition. And this intuition shaped in some way the very general discussion and the very general DNA of our organization. And the intuition was about the power of what at that time we called the creative communities. And therefore this idea of the grassroots organization that was mainly done by group of people, small group of people, mainly urban, if I can say maybe in the northern part of the world, even if you had DESIS also in the southern part, but in some way the drive was given by the northern part of the world. And this kind of idea was this kind of social innovation was not by chance, because I think that after 10 years, we can say that that one was a wave of social innovation. So social innovation goes by waves that had mainly that kind of characteristics, was mainly in the northern part of the world, was mainly in the urban middle class, and generated a lot of new ideas, a new idea of services, a new idea of how people can behave in opposition to what was at that time the super dominant neoliberal attitude in relation to what is the life, how you organize your life. So this society that was a society of individual people in competition, one with the other ones. And so the creative community was this effort done by somebody that was choosing to get together, to collaborate, to do something together, to make it happen. So not only to design, but to co-design, but also to co-produce. This has been, in my view, extremely important. It's not now the moment to go inside, but extremely important, and it changed a lot. Now, in some way, we maintain this kind of DNA for a long time, but at a certain point, we started to realize that, of course, everything was changing very fast. So we had also to change who we were and what was our work as a designer in relation to what was becoming social innovation. And to tell it in a very short, the first thing that was clear, and it still is clear, that when we talk now about social innovation, is not only the small little groups. They still are, and are fundamental, but there are also, I will call it a kind of a second level of a social innovation, that is a social innovation, the groups put together different small things and generate something, for instance, at the scale of the city. And now there are several of us that are working, for instance, on the cities. We call it the collaborative cities. Now we have this story about the cities of proximity, that is not only small grassroots, but it's a combination of grassroots and institutional change, and what happens sometimes at the level of the same city. So this has been one of the first change that we had to do, and we started to realize this necessity of making this change since probably 4 or 5 years now. And this is still ongoing. Many of us are working in this direction. But at the same time, something more dramatic happened. There was not so much the evolution of that original wave of the social innovation, but was the acceleration of every kind of tragedy in our societies, and catastrophic. And as a matter of fact, if we had no connection with the world, we was listening to what Carla was saying, we can talk about the story, for instance, of DESIS as a success story, that everything was going on very well, and it's true. But the overall situation is a continuous challenge. I think that the beginning of this necessity of change a little bit, not a little bit, to change dramatically, our focus has been when we started already 4 years ago to talk about democracy. And we started a whole line of conversation about democracy, because we saw around us a kind of involution of the de-democratization, so many society, starting from the one that were considered very democratic traditionally. And afterward, we started to feel much more the pressure of the environmental issue. And DESIS stand for Design for Social Innovation for Sustainability. So many of us started from the environmental issue, and after we moved to the social one. But in some way, we a little bit forget. We give it, okay, if we do something good for the social dimension, it will be good also for the environmental side. But at a certain point, it was clear that it was not enough. And so we started to discuss what could be a social innovation that is an eco-social innovation. So all the first wave of social innovation, in my view, was mainly good for the environment, but it was normally not driven by strong environmental concern. It was driven for some social improvement of the quality of life in a way that was also good for the environment. And this was, at least for me, the strength. But at the same time now, the catastrophe, the environmental catastrophe is here, and we cannot simply say, okay, we will do some change in our way of living, and this will be also good for the environment. But we should imagine that some environmental issue become really the driver. So again, in our DNA is to work on social change, but social change that could be and should be mainly driven by a different concern of social innovation. And at the same time, a lot of discussion started to happen about the north and the south of the world. A kind of different kind of tensions are traversing the society. And this is a very difficult and very, in some way also slippery discussion in my view, because of course, if I talk for myself, I've been socialized in Europe. I am a male, I am white. And so I can try discussing with Virginia, we say today they westernized ourselves. So to see how we can move from where we are, many of us are for the north and western part of the world, and become something, change something in our way of considering everything, included what is design. But there are others that have to take the floor, that start from different point of view. They can start from what has been a different tradition, different roots. So for instance, we Western are struggling to become less anthropocentric, so not to see everything starting from the point of view of the humans. And we are sincerely doing, and we have to destroy hundreds of years of a consolidated structure. For somebody else, maybe it's not necessary, because maybe they can recover some tradition that is from the beginning in this way. So you understand now, it's not now that we can discuss, but I think that we are transversed. So there is something that arrives in the society, and therefore arrive in the social change, and they arrive also in design, that the design is should and is very linked to all this. So we have to understand what does it mean for social innovation to keep in account all this, and at the same time to maintain also some quality, something that we discovered with the first wave of social innovation. So to make it short, we think, because it's not only my idea, we had a conversation during the past months, that we have to consider the first wave of social innovation, but we have to look into the society as we did 10 years ago, looking for something that was happening, trying to find where the new wave of social innovation is appearing and what are the characteristics of the new wave of social innovation. And this, I think, is what is our main role as people. Afterward, when we say, and so what are the implications on DESIS? In my view, as always, we have an identity that is better not to lose. So we have to try to understand what was characterizing us as a group. And at the same time, we have to experiment something new. We have to understand what does it mean to accept the challenge that are in the society, and maybe not only accept, but also drive new ideas. And what Carla was saying is already in this direction. It's modest, it's not so much. It's probably not, for sure it's not sufficient, but in my view shows that we are not a kind of inertial body that goes on because we have always done like this. We are challenging ourselves. We are trying to understand. And when now I pick up only a few things. With Carla was talking about the assembly that we did in Colombia with this lockdown, everything is already 1 year and a half. And we try to challenge the discussion of what does it mean social innovation. We call that, I don't know if it was correct or not, but we call it in difficult places. And this has been a beginning of a discussion. With Virginia, we started the philosophy talk, some discussion that tried to go really in depth on what does it mean to consider the more than human attitude toward design. And I think that Virginia is doing a fantastic work, and I think and I hope that we also spread also beyond what is has been the philosophy talk. I think that a certain attention that we are having on a new form of activism is part of this story. And I think to conclude, and this will be next discussion, one of the next discussion, this attention about the possibility of the young people, of the young students, of the students. because as Carla said, and as we will say afterwards, of course, all DESIS is about schools and therefore it's about students. But even though each one of us has worked with students, at the end of the day, who manage to promote, to go on, are the professors. And now we are trying to see if it could be possible that in parallel with this activity of us, mainly professors, I imagine that are here, we could really have in the DESIS also a direct presence of the students per se. Why? Not simply a kind of populism to say, okay, because we want to have also the student, but simply because we, as I said before, are convinced that we desperately need a new mental set to face the change. So I am probably the old, not only, of course, I'm the older in this group, but I'm so old that I am quasi dead already. But also you, so we are all being formed in a certain structure, so we should come on the boat somebody that has a totally different experience. So this is why I was so excited and happy when first, if I well understood, Ingrid and Matthias, and after Carla and after others started to talk how to include the students. So here we are, and DESIS, I already said, has is changing. Something has been said by Carla. We have to try not to lose some strength that we have, but we have also to be very ready to something new. And so let me say what is the final part, but totally different level of the discussion, but very important, because this assembly is not only so crucial because it happens in a moment that is really very difficult worldwide, and not only for the pandemic, but for so many different layers of problems. But for us, at a totally different scale, but at our scale, it's important, is not only that we end the period that had Carla as coordinator. This has been a kind of guarantee, so we knew that something was happening because Carla and the team was doing it. Now, in our statute, we cannot have more than two times, and therefore we need to move to the new one. And we know already, and you know already, because we wrote who is the new one, because I had to tell it maybe for the ones that are have not participated. So to avoid misunderstanding, I have to very shortly clarify how we decided from the beginning to organize the governance of DESIS. So let me put it this way. DESIS is a network. And we have not discussed it today, but maybe many of you remember we have several discussions. What is the role of the network? How much it has to be organized? And the majority, including myself, has always been of the idea that the network per se has to be the most light that is possible. No money is asked. We, as a network, we do not manage any money in any case. Therefore, we are only a group of people very peer-to-peer. You want to be in the network? Okay, if you more or less share some ideas and you do a very simple format to ask to enter, you can be in network. And afterward, as Carla said, it's up to you. So but at the same time, the few things that has to be managed has to be managed. So how we decide who manages it? And I think I can say, not me, but we, because it has been discussed several times now, we decided that was not the case to make formal elections because there is no one that has to represent the others. We have only to find somebody that for some reason take the responsibility to coordinate and to make the website work, to have the assembly time by time, and to have a project that he or she want to develop. And therefore, we decided to have a different way of doing, and the way of doing was starting a long time before the change on coordinator, somebody, in the case me, that I am a little bit out of the game as a president, started to talk and with different people to see who could be interested. And to make it short, during, I think that we started this conversation maybe 2 years ago or something less than 2 years ago. I started to see who could be interested, who could be willing to do it. And in a discussion in between the people that has been involved, mainly the coordination committee, we arrived to a name that substantially is accepted by everybody. And the name, you know, in this case is Teresa Franqueira, that we will present in a while. And she will present herself in a while. I want also to say one thing that is very important that Carla said, and Teresa will better explain afterwards. The rule of the game is who want, and there's a possibility and the will to be the coordinator, take this responsibility of a certain number of things. Not so many, but there is a work to be done. That, as has been said, is to manage the website and to organize the people who are entering, and so to see who make a demand to be part of the DESIS or other problem like this. And the idea is that the coordinator as a kind of project. So the coordination. So given that in the DESIS network is very light, but on the DESIS we have projects. That could be the philosophy talk, that could be the thematic cluster, that could be other initiatives that we do that organize themselves to be done. So in some way, also the coordinator and his team is a kind of project. So it's a project to coordinate and to keep alive, or to help the network to be alive for 2 years or maybe for 4 years. And so every coordinator present him or herself, in our case herself, with a program. As Carla before was explaining what has been the program of Carla 4 years ago and how she did it. And she did it very well. And again, I thank her team for that. And now we have, in this totally different condition, we start a new coordinator with a new team, and this one is Teresa. So Teresa will present herself better. I can only say that I know her since, I don't know, so many days was not there any, so we met in Milano maybe, I don't know, 15 years ago.
20 years ago.
And afterwards, she also been take the PhD, the doctorate in Milano. And afterwards, she fly away back in Portugal, where she not only set up the DESIS lab, but also she worked both in the research, in organizing structure related to design. So I think that she will bring not only her enthusiasm, but also an experience, a very strong experience that she has in organizing also very tough things. Therefore, this is the story that I wanted to say, and I think that I will now leave the floor to Teresa, and I thank her and her team that she will present now, because, well, she's taking a tough responsibility, but I'm confident that she will do it at best. Thank you, Teresa.
Thank you, Ezio. Hi, everyone. I will share my screen with you, so you can see my presentation. Hope someone to confirm.
Yes,
Yeah?
everything's
You
okay.
see? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So, hi, everyone. I think good morning for some of you, good afternoon for others, and good evening for some others. I want to thank you all for being here. I'm going to do a brief presentation of myself and the program I have developed for the next 2 years for the DESIS coordination, as you told you. For those who don't know me, I have been working, teaching and researching on sustainability, service design, and social innovation subjects for the past 20 years almost. And back in 2006, that was one of the reasons I was researching on these topics. It took me to Politecnico di Milano to research with Ezio. He was my PhD supervisor, and I have been involved with the DESIS network since the beginning, being also one of the members of the International Coordination Committee since the beginning of the network. When I returned to Portugal 3 years later and to the University of Aveiro, I founded the ID Plus DESIS Lab. It was not an easy task, but I made it in 2011. We have been growing as we started with 3 members and 3 PhD students, and now we are almost 20. We have 10 effective members, and then we have more than 10 PhD and master students. So far, we are the only DESIS lab in Portugal. I hope others will join us in a near future. I've been fostering connections with other networks, leading and participating in European projects and cost actions in the areas of social innovation and circular economy. And I must highlight the importance of being a DESIS lab. Most of the projects we are in are, of course, the result of personal contacts, but some were the result of people trying to find a partner in Southwest Europe involved in the network. So this is also one of the benefits of being a DESIS lab. In our DESIS labs, there has always been a strong emphasis in knowledge sharing and leveraging best practice from other DESIS labs, achieved through a policy that promotes the mobility and hosting of researchers from other labs. We have hosted research from Italy, Denmark, Brazil, Sweden, Spain, and I would like to welcome everyone that wants to do a mobility period with us. I think it's important to have these internships among us. Also, one of my strategy was to invite other researchers from other fields to collaborate with us in specific projects, from management to urban planning, governance, economics, gerontology, environmental engineering, and so on. So I was the coordinator for 7 years. And after this managing experience, I'm extremely enthusiastic about designing and implementing a program for the coming 2 years for the DESIS network. It is a program that intends to build on the work developed by the previous coordinators, but tailored to meet the challenges of emerging realities. In the light of new developments and changes, the DESIS network must adapt itself, redirecting its activities to a new wave of social innovation, as you was saying. It will be focused on environmental issues, not forgetting the economic, cultural, and political implications. This program is also the result of the collaborative and collective journey started with the DESIS conversations and afterwards with the manifesto that now is renamed DESIS statements that I will talk about later. The 2-year project I propose is developing 3 main pillars. One is the network refocus. The second one is to foster deeper connections between DESIS labs. And the third one, fostering a broader ecosystem. So regarding the focus and reorientation of the network, when we start the discussion about social innovation for the planet with the text that as you wrote for the DESIS conversation, I also wrote one about the social innovation and the environmental emergency and how design can contribute in this scenario. I think that at that time, I did not have any doubts about the need to reorient and upgrade and to encourage the activities of the DESIS labs in direction. We all know that design for social innovation and design for sustainability usually walk hand in hand. Now I am more convinced than ever that we do need to design for the planet. And in order to keep this focus, I want to promote something that I call Talks for the Planet, which is a biannual event and can be seen as a tool to build sorry guys, can be seen as a tool to build and share knowledge through debates and reflections about ongoing or prospective social initiatives for the planet. The idea is to keep the focus on the topic and create a theoretical framework. It might end with several videos and as publication with text from the DESIS Lab coordinators or invited speakers. We want to organize it twice a year and can be a format as the philosophy talks format, with a call for talks, call for papers, can end up with a book. The second pillar, foster deeper connections between DESIS Lab. I thought of having an informal place for sharing experience between us, and I call it the DESIS Café. Is a way to reinforce the connections between DESIS Lab with informal open meetings that act as a virtual place for sharing and reflection, where all DESIS members can exchange ideas, best practices, and challenges of projects and actions. Is it an open space with no obligation or formal invitation? Anyone that wants to have a chat and a coffee can show up on this virtual cafe. It will be open once a month, and we will assure that there's always someone there. We can't offer you a coffee, you need to bring your own coffee, but the idea is to create deeper connections between us and to share our experiences. Regarding the last pillar, fostering a broader ecosystem, the idea is to promote and structure meaningful interaction with other networks, including but not limited to environmental, sustainable, social activism networks. This initiative, I name it Bring a Friend, is a way to connect with affinity networks and hopefully be the start of a thriving ecosystem where common goals and initiatives can be shared and specific skills and knowledge can be leveraged to create synergy with other networks and partners. We want to make the network more visible and achieve synergies with other relevant entities. We can do it through our personal contacts, plus the DESIS activities that each DESIS Lab has, plus the DESIS Café, plus the Talks for the Planet, plus the DESIS students. So all the activities we will be developing can nurture this pillar. Then we have the network management, the tough part. We want to continue the work that has been so very well done by the previous team with Mateus, Ingrid, and Carla, but we need to ensure these operations, like contacts with all the DESIS Labs, manage the new DESIS Labs applications, revamp the website, make it more user-friendly, keep an archive of news, projects, and activities, update social media channels, encourage a routine of virtual showcasing of projects developed by all the DESIS Labs, keep the relationship with Comus Association also. And also, of course, there is the ICC, the International Coordination Committee, that will be updated in order to include the representatives of other geographies. I want to remind that the ICC has its own role. It collaborates in the organization and deployment of the following activities: to evaluate the new lab applications, to evaluate the new initiatives proposed, to define the agenda for the assembly meeting, to implement decisions taken by the assembly, to build some special events, to promote editorial activities, to direct the editorial line for the website, to deal with any legal issues, and to give continuity to the governance model. We will keep supporting these initiatives and new ones to come, the DESIS Philosophy Talks, DESIS students. During this process, as you said, started some months ago, we have meetings to ensure a smooth transition to the new coordination team. I would also like to present the team. Ana Afonso and Gisela Pinheiro will be on this adventure with me. And the three of us, with the help from the other labs, will keep the network growing and improving. I'm counting with some help from Ingrid, Mateus, and Carla for the next months. That's it. We look forward to working with you. The detailed program will be available on the website early next year. As we are running a little bit late, and I will need to talk again for the DESIS statements, I will give the floor now to Ingrid Bico to speak about the DESIS students. Thank you.
Hello, thank you, Teresa. Here, a lot of claps for you, for your beautiful presentation. I will start sharing my screen and I will try to be very quick with it because of the time. Just a moment. Is it okay? Yes, can I start?
Yeah.
Perfect. Now it's a little bit of once upon a time moment, because as you, Carla, and Teresa just said earlier, we have been working in a lot of different initiatives this year, and DESIS Students is one of them. It started maybe over than a year ago in the DESIS Assembly in Bogota, when the role of students was one of the points of the discussions. So we had an idea of working on that topic this year. Maybe not so in the first place, but COVID bring a lot of things up, and meanwhile made us hold another projects like the booklets Professor Carla mentioned. But I think it's all for the good, and I will start talking about why are we doing this? Why are we involved in an initiative with the students, trying to connect them? And here you can see the same photo again, because as you can see clearly, I'm forcing Mateus to pose to this picture because he hates it. And this is probably the only picture we have with he smiling, but that's okay. I asked permission to use it, and so did Professor Carla. So we study at Federal University of Rio, and we are members of Rio DESIS Lab. Mateus is studying industrial design, and my major is in visual communications. So we kind of complement each other's for education formation. And this is our team in the lab. We have a lot of different education levels here. We have undergrad students, master's students from different majors. We have, as I said, industrial designers. I am the only one in visual communications, but we also have a person in public management major, which is very surprising because she's not a designer officially, but her ideas helped a lot in basically all of our projects. And because of our relationship with each other, we sense that we can accomplish a lot of goals together. And with Professor Carla, we started wondering, maybe the other DESIS labs have the same reality and we just don't know. So let's try to connect with them and try to reinforce the protagonism of the students as agents of transformational change, as designers, even if we are not graduated yet. And so we started to structure the DESIS network. Our main proposals are to be proactive agents of transformative change. We want to create a favorable environment for students to cooperate. And I think this last point, it's the the main point for us, because we are not competitive. We are not competitive. We don't want to boost this kind of interaction between students, which is very hard because we live in an economic model and in a world that reinforces this kind of behavior. So when we try to develop a project, we always try to see from the point of view of the collaboration. And trust me, it's very hard. We also give a lot of ideas, and in the end, it seems all competition and prizes and recognition, and we don't want that. We want to work together collaboratively, but not regarding to win something. We want everyone to win. We want the world to win. It can sound a little bit utopic, but we are like that. So to start this, we ran a project called Talking Thoughts that with a lot of support from you. I see a lot of teachers here who supported us during this process, indicating students to be interviewed and also emailing us, asking how they could be part of it if we wanted help or something. So with your support, we were able to interview more than 10 people in 6 countries. So the first season, I called it a season because I'm already thinking about the next one. We connect with these students to ask them basically who they are, who are you? What do you like to do? What kind of projects you work at? In your DESIS lab, you are there for a discipline, or you were there because you want to do a research or something, because we didn't know them. Here in Brazil, for instance, we have, I think, 4 DESIS labs, but we are not so connected. So we tried to improve this connection, not only here in Brazil, but also with other DESIS labs around the world. And in parallel, while I was doing these Talking Thoughts interviews, we also got a little help. Just a comment, guys, I'm seeing the chat here popping up, but I can't open the list. So if there's any question, maybe you can just open your mics and speak. But if not, I will read everything after the presentation. So meanwhile, while we were doing the interviews, we also got help from other friends and partners in DESIS labs. And we ran a series of workshops with students and teachers to give us like food for the brain and start and help us to structure this network. The first one was with the LiveWork. It's a Brazilian consultancy in service design and a lot of other things. And they have projects here in Brazil, but also in the United Kingdom. And we started to build a very curious and strong relationship because they work in a different model and strategies than us. We are academic, we are more formal in education purposes, and they are very marketing tech kind of company. They have clients, they have briefings, they have a lot of things we don't, and we have a lot of things they don't. So it was a super good combination, and together we did this first workshop that was about students' engagement. In this one, a lot of your students here participated. As you can see, we had people from Canada, from New Zealand, also from Italy, from Portugal, etc. Here was the workshop we did with the teachers, because I can't see myself as a student without a professor or a mentor or a teacher. So we asked you to join us in this meeting to get feedbacks about what we have been doing, to give some ideas and hear what you think about them. It was very great too. Then I did an informal meeting with some students, just a casual encounter to talk about life lately, what COVID had bring upon us, because we experienced a lot of different scenarios here in Brazil, in other countries. So we kind of wanted to compare our strategies in surviving and getting through another school year, because a lot of us were also having classes besides the pandemic. Then the last workshop we did this year was in partnership with the DESIS St. Petersburg University. They kindly asked us to join the event they were organizing in partnership with Cumulus, who is also a DESIS friend. And this one was very special because, as Ezio said, and as Teresa will talk about more later, we have different thematic areas in DESIS network. And we kind of revisit them from time to time and always try to enroll our projects regarding these thematic areas. But we were sensing like there was something missing, you know, we wanted to discuss more things, more focused things. So the social movements issue appeared because we are sharing a world today that can't just be ignored, and we can't act like everything is well and perfect and is going great. So I sensed this huge feeling between the students to face this and start acting in order to not solve, but to make it better, to use our knowledge and our powers, even as students, to do something together. So we did this workshop and to discuss some ideas. There were also teachers with us this day, and we reached a lot of people who were not necessarily under a DESIS lab, which was also great. Here are our partners and friends who have helped us a lot this year, and I would like to thank them very much. And now some results and some things we learned along the way. Since the beginning of our discussions and emails I have sent to some of you, we have reached people in all of these countries. Maybe if they are originally from, I don't know, maybe India and they are in the United States or otherwise, it doesn't matter. We have reached connections to all of these places. We also got some ideas from the feedbacks the students and the teachers gave us during that workshops. And now I would like to present them to you like possibilities, like ideas we will try to develop over the next year. And just a reminder, now we only have like Professor Carla, Mateus, and I as the team basis from the DESIS students. So what we think of doing was new projects besides the Talking Thoughts that I mentioned. That will be a second season of it. I promise you, I have already a list of people that I'd like to interview. And because of Teresa, it's organizing these DESIS statements. And we had this sense of moving the discussions toward more current issues and more purposeful subjects. We think in doing these projects of the first cycle of DESIS students based on a theme in DESIS statements. It can be social movements, it can be sustainability. We don't know, we can choose it. It's not decided yet, you can suggest. And based in the themes, we can do a matchmaking project, some design challenges, another project regarding collaborative mentorship, and the design residencies that I put here that we are collaborating with Emily Carr team in this because Lara, I don't know if she's still here because I can't see everyone now, but we had a meeting and we are talking a lot via email about this. We are trying to implement a design residency based on the model that Emily Carr provided during last summer because we all moved online due to COVID. So we are trying to adapt that model to DESIS students. So maybe next year you will hear more from us. And also these other three projects, we have a structure for them, but because of the time, I will not detail it so much, but basically the matchmaking, it's about connecting people in different levels, undergrad, masters, PhDs, even teachers, we don't know, who could provide feedback and inspiration to other people interested in the same thing. So it's simple. It's just a meeting where we could give like 5 minutes to the people to talk a little bit about, and from that we can develop a lot of new ideas. The design challenges, I think it's my personal favorite, because the purpose here is to choose a theme and then invite people to participate, but not like in a competitional model. It's something like that. We are talking about racism or feminism in this design challenge, and we will give a situation, a little context, and then we will propose a challenge, and the group will have like 30 minutes, 20 minutes to develop a solution or a proposal for that challenge. So this part is what we are planning to do over the first cycle of 2021. And this one is where I will need you to support us, because these other projects are all listed in the feedback sessions we had with the students and the professors, the teachers. But we don't have enough people nor enough hands to do it. So we would like to propose these ideas that are also projects we can help you develop. Very simple. It can be shorter than a cycle. It can be like 1 month or 2 months projects, but they are very valuable for us because the students proposed these ideas, and we now listed them here in hoping that you can join us along the way and try to develop these, not necessarily in the first semester of next year, because you know, we all have a life, but even in the second semester, we could have meetings or, I don't know, have more brainstorming sessions to try to understand how we could propose this. Because I think, and by the invitation that Teresa did earlier, for any students who want to do an interchange in Portugal or in other countries, I believe that COVID has proved that we can do a lot more than we thought we could, especially with the online activities. So maybe we can put this to work even in an easier way than I'm thinking about. I don't know. But this part is just to let you know that we have a lot of ideas, but we need you to make them work. And I will leave this invitation open if you want to write to us after the assembly, maybe volunteering to be responsible for some of these projects. We would be very happy for sure. And I believe now that my time is very up. I will end my presentation here and leave the floor to Teresa, because I know she has a lot of things to also explain to you about the DESIS statements. And maybe we can talk more about this students part at the end of the DESIS statements presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Ingrid. What a fantastic presentation. I think most of the teachers probably are very inspired right now. I'm going to share again my screen to talk about the DESIS statements that I think most of you are familiar, since we have shared with you. Do you see, you are seeing my presentation, right? Yeah?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay, so I would like to share with you the process leading up to the writing of this collaborative document, based on the contributions from the DESIS Conversations 2020 and the webinar. We have drafted the first version of the DESIS Manifesto 2020 that was later revised and discussed by the DESIS ICC and turned out to be the DESIS statements. The DESIS Conversations that started with the text written by Ezio on social innovation for the planet. We had several contributions from DESIS lab coordinators. but we never had the chance to discuss it together. So the pandemic changed quite a bit the way we are living, and we took the opportunity with Zoom and all the digital tools that we are using to organize a webinar that gathered the contributions made by the several DESIS Lab coordinators as speakers, and intended to form the basis for a collective and collaborative creation of a DESIS manifesto at that time. Those contributions were discussed and all the speakers were invited to reflect on it in the light of the new COVID-19 context. All the labs were invited to collaborate and contribute through a whiteboard that we used during the webinar. And we collected the keywords from the speakers. There was a joint reflection and a collective debate so that the DESIS manifesto could emerge from this collaborative thinking on social innovation and the climate emergency. We have collected relevant inputs from all the participants, and we opened the discussion with the ICC members. And during the discussion, and considering the fast changes we are facing today, it was considered that it should be an open document to be revisited every year. So to capture the evolving nature of the document, it was renamed DESIS Statements 2020 instead of manifesto. And after this discussion, we shared the document with all DESIS Lab coordinators that had the chance to give new inputs, which were taken into account and enriched the document immensely. We deeply appreciate all your contribution to this defining document for the DESIS future. The updated version of the DESIS Statements 2020 is this one. After this, I hope these statements will provide some inspiration and guidance to DESIS Lab's ongoing activities and research. I would like to highlight these particular parts of the statements. One is that the DESIS network reaffirms its commitment to sustainability by pursuing 3 interconnected goals: to publicly acknowledge the radical planetary interdependence and recognize social, cultural, and biological diversity as vital resources to nurture and protect all living species and environments, to learn how to see and act on the interdependencies between natural systems and our own lives, and to value the importance of the commons for the well-being of all communities as a starting point for designing. Another one, the network most ambitious goal should be therefore to foster and support new wave of eco-social innovation, and in doing so to collaboratively build platforms for teaching and research necessary to guide and strengthen the transition towards a more resilient, diverse, and non-anthropocentric sustainable world. Finally, this statement is meant to mark and deepen our commitment to a politics of design based on care and solidarity in order to advance equity, inclusion, and social justice goals. We plan to continue to do so through the courses we teach, the research topics we take on, the projects we create, and the voices we include and elevate. I would also like to point out that DESIS can be seen as a network that promotes an arena where different cultural backgrounds can take a position, increasing common denominators even with different positions. The content of DESIS includes different philosophical views, and we are willing to continue to build together the DESIS statements based on these similarities and diversity. Is part of the coordination program also to make an annual review of the DESIS statements. And this review is prepared throughout the year, building on the Talks for the Planet and the DESIS Cafe and the DESIS students, as well as on the philosophy document for collaborative work between DESIS assemblies that happens once a year. So for now, I think you all know the document quite well, the people that are present here. We will publicize them on the website. But now I would like to open the discussion on this. I will give the floor for anyone that wants to add something to this document, that it's not a closed one. And probably I will give the floor also to Ezio as the president of the network to to conduct also this discussion. I hope I can do something for you, is to share with you the document on our chat, so you'll have access to this. Let me. Anyone that wants to say something? I see that no one. Louise, yeah, you were saying that you missed the invitation to this.
I missed. Yes, of course. Yes, I'm so sorry. I missed the invitation. You would have had my eager contributions to this document because of how much I support this shift that we are making in DESIS. I'm thinking that you have distilled it beautifully, and I just want to say thank you, because from the bottom of my heart, this is the work we need to be doing. So thank you, everybody.
Yeah, thank you all. It was possible also with your contribution, Louise, during the DESIS conversations and the webinar. And I'm trying to send this document to the chat. Let me see if I can send it, but it's not accepting. Ezio, do you want to say that you are muted, Ezio?
That I could say something, but I would prefer to wait one moment, because maybe there is somebody that is a little bit shy, and I have practically what I had to say I have already said. So if I talk again, I will not add so much. So it's so easy. It's enough that you switch on the microphone. It's not difficult.
Yeah. In fact, I'm struggling to send the document for the in the chat, but let me see that now. No, I can't do that. I don't know why.
No, I can. Maybe I can say something, trying to trigger a little bit. So looking to who is now on the screen. It's for me, it's very interesting, because there are some faces that I know since a long time, and someone that I don't know practically, someone that is really the first time that I see. So it will be very important for all of us to have some feedback from the two sides, because on one way, I have the impression that what has been said today is really a change in the continuity. So in some way we are using or trying to use what we have been, but there are several elements that are at least trying to reorganize, even though it's not so easy. And there are somebody else that maybe it's the first time, so they have been exposed to this now already long presentations. So I would be very interested to know from somebody that maybe the first time that participate to a group like this, what is the impression that you have? So two different, the one that have a long story, if you feel that we are trying to change or change enough or too much, and the one that are maybe one of the first time that they participate. If it is understandable, all this, so it appears a kind of, I don't know, a quantity of information built up, but not understandable in their own deep.
Yeah. I think that this assembly was a little bit, and it's interesting what is happening, because in the beginning it was more easier to have conversations in the assembly, because we have few issues on the table. Now we have many things happen in parallel. So maybe we need to rethink the way we organize the assembly, because I talk a little bit that how much we have talked on other assemblies and how this was, because we create this ground for conversations and it take a little time to arrive here. So we could have more time the next time to talk and to discuss. But the main thing, I think that is happening a movement on DESIS that is very interesting. That is, this one side, these statements say, please take a look if you don't, say many interesting and powerful things for DESIS. In parallel, we have a group of students and that are accept the invitation. So the social movement workshop, Ingrid didn't say that, it was facilitated by students that are involved in social movements and are interested on this in DESIS. So it's a kind of picture what is going on. And I agree with Fazio that we say, okay, the first cycle was in DESIS was about who we are. Now it changed. We build a better identity, build a better community, and now we are looking outside and starting to move outside and starting to get more in turn with what is going on in the flow of facts and things. And of course, our projects will reflect that, but we are saying, okay, we can move internally as network in this direction. So I find this assembly very interesting as a picture. So Teresa said, let's open floor for more conversations between us. So we have also, by the coordinator, the future coordination, the space to move in this direction. So for example, these statements can inform, and Ingrid have told this to me, that the statements can inform the movement of the students. So the areas that students may be interested. So I think that I see these two issues here. The network is very active, and the things are starting to make some synergies, and this is really wonderful. It's a new phase for DESIS. This is my comment. And just to look back from the previous booklets and areas and thematic areas, we had there some signs. For example, the people-nature relations, and some signs of what, so the labs were moving in these directions, for sure. So if you have opportunities to learn more what is happening in the labs and talk more, we can also identify that it's happening on the nodes, certainly, because our students, we see writing, they were very interested in these issues, and they will move and ask professors to explore. So I think that is a virtuous circle that is starting to happen in DESIS. This is only a comment about what I'm seeing here today. I don't know, maybe our colleagues have different perceptions, but I think that is very interesting. It's starting to work together, not separate initiatives.
I have a small thing to add, if that's okay. So following up from Vancouver.
Please, you open mic for everybody.
Yes. So I first of all, I want to say it's so wonderful to see the students' work percolating up. I think, you know, from the lab in Vancouver, I just wanted to share one of the things, you know, there's 3 of us from Vancouver here today, and we've had a lot of discussions about how we function as a group, and the students we have learned so much from the students, and I think that there's something in that sort of reciprocal sharing that is for us has become really important in our place where we are, and we're so curious to find out to see, you know, where everybody else is. So it's sort of, I'm going to put this out to you. You have, you know, there's a DESIS lab in Vancouver where essentially 3 of us are speaking about that we foster the lab together, as flat as we can get it, because we understand that each person that comes to the lab brings so much wealth of experience and insight. And in our case, it's the students that have driven that work over and over and over again. In about an hour's time, Louise and I will be tripping out to listen to a fourth-year undergrad whose work has been seminal in our lab and has really made us think. So I just want to put that one out. And one small other nugget, this Talks for the Planet. I love this idea. I do wonder about talks with the planet, and I'll just leave it at that.
Is it okay, Helene? Hello, Carla. Hello, everybody here.
Hi.
DESIS Lab Network. I'm very honored to be part of the network. I'm coming from Ohio State University, so I know some of you, but not everybody. And I just wanted to reiterate, I think Carla is absolutely right when she identifies there are some parallel things happening right now. And to see these parallel things happening, and then Ingrid was very wise in saying, because of COVID, we recognize that we don't actually have to be in the same place, the same physical place. I can't get to Portugal to visit Teresa. I can't get to Vancouver anytime soon, Helena. So it's nice to actually have this new format that we're becoming very familiar with, and recognizing how much more we can do. I also really listened intently to Ezio's comment about some of the transitions and transformations that the DESIS labs can begin to go into. And you know, the DESIS standing for social innovation towards sustainability, but again, in our statements, the identification of the interdependencies between the environment, the ethical considerations, and the economy, the bringing those things together in a more vital way, knowing that we each have kind of small projects, but somehow they fit into this larger tripartite scheme of sustainability. It requires social innovation. It requires interactions across all of us. So I love the connections that we're beginning to build with this, Carla. So thank you for all the work that you've done in helping us coordinate and be more connected. Teresa, I'm thrilled to have you as kind of the new leader of us and helping us do more work. At Ohio State University, I want to share this with you because I'm looking for more DESIS partners. We're launching, there's something called the Design Justice Initiative. So when Ezio starts to kind of talk about some of the changes and how much more DESIS could do, I heard, you know, with some of the racial disparities, some of the social inequities, and we know that it's always been there. It's not that this is new to us, but the fact that COVID, the pandemic, has allowed much of this to kind of come to the surface in such this urgent way that I now have graduate students who really want to engage with other graduate students around the world through the DESIS network and have, you know, coordinated projects that we could begin to, you know, help support them and really have some kind of, you know, vital impact or so, you know, supporting them for some social good in the end. So I just wanted to, you know, chime into this larger conversation and hopefully be on your map in the middle of the United States a little bit more visibly. So thank you for this opportunity to speak today.
Thank you, Susan.
We receive in the chat some inputs that some people are doing. These synergies are, you know, also Paulina with her students. You mentioned, Susan, doing these connections with your students. So probably somehow DESIS students will also emerge from these synergies and guided by the statements. So I think that is a good possibility for us all. So thank you for your feedback, and Pauline in the chat was very interesting to understand how it could be, because we found ourselves looking to, okay, that's the students, what's it gonna be? So we needed to connect with students and invite, and then you are open these possibilities, and it is being great. And I think that is a role that professors can have, connect the students between them. And I agree with what Helen said, is really wonderful how much you see, how much when you are a platform for action. So you just help, and then they do, you just support, and it's very interesting to discuss our role in these processes and how we bring the knowledge from research, from these discussions from the main DESIS network, and the statements that are here, and this is match with what they are doing, and I think that this will be very powerful for DESIS, the main network as a whole, because it's bringing all these energies. And so it's very interesting, and the statements give us a kind of guide to not only for DESIS students, but for other processes in DESIS, philosophy talks that Virginia runs long time and a very important space for reflection in DESIS. So thank you very much for your remarks and observations, at least for us. Great.
And hi everyone. I have a terrible connection, so I'm sorry. If you can't hear me, I'll turn my camera off. Yes, I'm Paulina from Mexico City, and yes, thank you very much, Carla and Teresa and Necio and Ingrid for your presentations. For me, I think I came part of DESIS like in transition times. So for me, it's been very interesting to see how it was organized originally and how it has been changing over the past year, and it has been very interesting to be part of that somehow. And so we have the intention, and we're very committed to it, to join the DESIS network like in a more active way. And so I think that many DESIS labs might be in our situation, that we are working with students, we're working with professors, we're now more consolidated in our universities, and we now want to connect and to give visibility to what our students are doing, and we want to be part of this network, and we want to give them more opportunities to connect. So that's at least our situation. We have a lot of programs. We have more than probably 15 workshops still running, even though the university is closed, physically closed. We're running everything online, and it will be this way the next semester. So, but we have a lot of activities. So I'm thinking, what if we have like an open agenda of all our activities, and we share it, like the spaces that are running activities, we share it together, all DESIS labs, and I don't know, maybe share it with you, Teresa, and your team. And then maybe other DESIS labs want to join forces, and maybe we can share our activities. So like we have activities that are in Spanish, but we don't have a problem in doing some of our activities in English either. In Mexico, we do run a lot of activities in English, and that wouldn't be a problem. And I think it would be a great opportunity for our students to share activities or to do something in collaboration with another lab, I don't know, in the US or in another place, and maybe we can find a shared, I don't know, an hour that works for everyone. So, for example, we have this activity that I mentioned in the chat that is, it's called Open Book, and so we have a thematic. It's like a cluster, and it runs every 2 months. And weekly, we define with the students that design this activity, we define what we are going to read on a specific topic. So the topic is like about 2 months. So this semester, we explored activism and design, and then gender and design. So for 8 weeks, we were reading different things about this. So it wasn't a book, it was just like a chapter or a paper. And then we invited, for example, an artist, or we invited someone very specialized on that theme. And I think that kind of activities, we could share them. And next semester we will have sustainability and design, because we're a design university. So I mean, I think we can share an agenda and then talk about it.
Thanks, Paulina. It's a great idea, this open agenda for the DESIS Lab. Thank you.
Thank you.
Maybe I can add something from the more of the new faces that are showing up today. I'm very glad to get to meet all of you. I see just a very few familiar faces, but just to give maybe some feedback, I think it was actually quite nice that we saw so much in the presentations, because it really helps understanding for us who have always followed DESIS from an outsider's point of view and really never got to do anything with the network. It was also good to see the human side and seeing the story behind initiatives, the feelings or the desires for the future. And it also made it quite easy to see more tangibly what could be the actions forward for us that are just joining and maybe have a bunch of ideas, but now are able to put a face behind certain, let's say, areas of interest. So I think it was also very welcoming and warm environment for us that are here for the first time. So thank you.
Oh, sorry. And just to let you know that Natalia was with me and Mateus in the last workshop in Cumulus about the social movements, and she helped me out of the blue, like in the day before, because we needed an extra facilitator, and she jumped in and took the responsibility of doing that with us. And it was a super great time. We loved it. And from that workshop, we raised a lot of questions that are now actual projects, and as I show you, and maybe I hope we can find more people like Natalia in the future and add them to our network. I have a feeling that Paulina and Susan have a few names to give to me after today, so I will look forward to my mail over the week, hoping for your message. Thank you.
We have also in chat, I think that this is an assembly very interesting because we have students, Teresa. And
oh, yeah, but I'm sorry, Professor. Patricia is in the chat. I have just seen it. She's also from Vancouver. She's from Emily Carr, and she was with us at the same workshop I mentioned. She was also another facilitator. So I'm not seeing you, Pat, but hi. I hope you're good, and thanks so much for all your help.
Hi, Ingrid. Hi, everybody. Happy to be here. Very new to all of this, but very excited about, it's great to see people working together and, being such a large network. I enjoyed a lot working with Ingrid, and yeah, I'm a big fan of all the work that they are doing in DESIS Brazil. So real, right? Thank you so much.
Vancouver is well represented here today.
Very active, and we have some people in some moments, as I said, that are very active, and it's very nice. Thank you for being here. Emily Carr, very, very nice this interaction during this the DESIS students.
Anyone that wants to open the micro?
Hi, everyone. Greetings from Ghana. I just want to say that it's been such a wonderful journey for all these years. And we are pleased for the great opportunity to be part of this network. And also, again, our students have been really a powerful driving force. And so to see that we are also looking at the perspective of the students going forward is great. And yeah, so I'll say that thank you all. And yeah, in the coming years, we are looking forward to an exciting moment with everyone. And welcome, Teresa. And yes, good to be here and happy to see you, SDO, Carla, and everyone again. Yeah, okay.
Thank you, Khalid.
Thank you.
I just want to add a short note on the open agenda. Sorry. I think it would be also useful if we could share like the social networks of our DESIS labs, because I know Carla did a great job in opening social networks for the DESIS network. And I've been able to follow some other labs through that, but I think it would be great if we could all follow our networks.
Yeah, this is something that we want to update the social media channels. So
this is very challenging, Paulina. I can say because Teresa is arriving now, because a big part of our work in the coordination is to dig of what we are doing. You know, monitoring, asking you to send projects to create this social media. If you go to the social media, if you go to COVID-19 repository, they have been sharing the social media. I don't know if you are following DESIS network, but we have worked on this process, collect projects, update the website so you can see what each lab is doing, because it's there, lab section. Of course, people don't do it spontaneously. We need to ask. Maybe we can have a smarter process to accelerate that, but you can have a good view of at least what they are interested to work. And in social media, so COVID-19 updated this a lot. So it's a good connection between collecting cases. So it's a kind of proposal. You send cases, we update in social media, we discuss the cases, and maybe we can do a publication. Or so these three booklets were a little bit of prototyping of this way of sharing knowledge on DESIS, Paulina. And if you take a look, I forgot to mention that the process of the booklets were interrupted by the COVID-19, but we intend to do a conversation what is there in the booklet. So opportunity for participants to update what is there in the conversation. And so we intended to make conversation about what's there as past to guide the future. And maybe is also present, but is being redirected. Just to answer Paulina. So the DESIS website is very updated as far as possible. Of course, coordinators need to tell us, look, our website changed. And we did also another work that is to dig and find your articles. So we have in the DESIS website a section called articles that are your papers. So how DESIS coordinators do research. I didn't explore that in my presentation, but we stalking you. We have stalked you all over the years to know what you are doing and putting there. So it's, Teresa, this will be a great part of your work, because how you update social media, if that's the idea that you are working the nodes, but who remember to say, we have received some mails like, could you please put this in the website? So it's DESIS network is one of the main structures is sharing knowledge, but it's not obvious. So it's a kind of strategy we have built on these years. I will share with Teresa, maybe she can have a better idea. But the idea, the idea of agenda is interesting, Paulina, because we can ask what you are doing, and this matchmaking process that we thought on as students could happen also between the labs. So the matchmaking can be very powerful of what you're doing with students, what we are doing on research, and create synergies. So maybe we can, I will not think, I will not work on that anymore, but I'm sorry, Teresa can think on that.
Giselle and Anna will ask for to Ingrid and Mateus what are the secrets to keep everybody getting the news. So we will continue the stalking part.
Yeah, it's challenging to follow you, but it's amazing. You are doing some wonderful papers, but it's so difficult to dig it.
Can I say add the
Can I say something? No, sorry.
No, you.
Okay, sorry, I just want to follow the idea just talking about from Carla. I think due to, some reason, some of the social media cannot work in China. So I think we have to use a little bit more from the newsletter. So updating all the lab, what's the updating of the labs around the DESIS network. So because, some social media doesn't work in China, and then the updating process is not that easy. So I think
for you, the newsletter, it's important, right?
Yes, it's kind of to follow what's going on for all the labs. Yeah.
What the newsletter now is a synthesis of the news of some period. So the most important news are there. So it's performing this role. So editorials from Nezio, editorials from me, getting updates from the network. So the newsletter, of course, we have some problems, and sometimes a period it was a little bit interrupted, but our idea was to do exactly like this.
Yeah.
The point is that this machine of publishing each project in social media, maybe it's possible to think on Chinese partner that receive this and publish in WeChat or other channels.
Yeah.
It would be really great to have a partnership with someone in China to help, like from China, to give visibility in the. This is a suggestion, just because Teresa is starting now, so I'm just, Teresa, helping to give some ideas here, because it will be help a lot. But the idea of newsletter maybe is not performed, it could be better, but the idea was to do that. But I don't know, we needed to it would be great to have someone in China to help. And we have a lot of struggle with time zones. You cannot imagine how difficult it is to manage time zones, because our network is from New Zealand to California. And so I would like to say that it's not to be, it's very difficult to organize two meetings as we did in the conversation after COVID. It's very hard for the coordination. So maybe, I don't know, you can have some ideas, people can have some ideas on that, because we try to fix a little bit in Europe and try to always calculating if someone could stay at 10 o'clock or someone very early. And it seems a detail, but it's crucial, because someone could not be here today. So it's really key. And I'm sorry for all the times that I couldn't manage, because it's really tricky. For example, the assembly. How do you organize someone that, so it's not the will to be, we want to be inclusive, but it's really hard, I'm just sharing because, there are a lot of challenges to be a coordinator. I'm so thanks to Teresa to really serve the network in this way. It's really challenging. Small details make all the difference. So thank you for giving me opportunity to talk about that. Thank you very much.
As you were saying something.
If nobody else want to now to say something, yes, I have two thoughts that maybe could not be developed today, but maybe could be part of the next agenda. One thing that is happening for sure and this also assembly is showing it, is that we are all learning how to use the new media. And this is, it gives also some opportunity because frankly speaking, since we are doing this kind of meeting, we have much more contact than before, that it was much more difficult. So this is good. And as has been said by several of you, there could be new form of organization that could appear that are, as a matter of fact, less related to be in the same place. And also this could be good. But I would like only to make a kind of light alarm, because what is happening is a kind of, at least this is my impression, I have not discussed it with anybody, with you before, we risk a kind of pollution of so many different ideas that can be possible, that afterward we cannot detect the ones that are really important. It is a bit as is happening with the webinar. When you had the seminar in the physical world, it was not so many. Now that you have the possibility of having a webinar, we are all overwhelmed by the number of webinars because it's so easy to organize them. And afterward, you cannot choose what is the best. So I think we have to open to experiment new things, but at the same time, to try to find a way to control some action that are the ones in which we really, for a while, we focus on that. So in some way, the way to eliminate the risk of this kind of semantic pollution is to choose some experiment to focus on that and not to continuously open and open and open, because this could be a way to lose ourselves in this messiness. And a little bit is similar, but more, this is relatively simple. The second one is more to be thought. Rereading with you now the document, the statement, of course, I agree. I also participate to do it, so imagine. But in my view, we have to remember one of the discussions that we had at the beginning, there was the difference between design for social innovation and social design. So I don't want now to start a conversation on this point, but we have to update that discussion. Because I have a high respect for the social design. That means a designer imagines something that could be good for, now we could say eco and social, but all from the head of the designers. This is good, it has to be done. But what has characterized DESIS was not this way of doing, was to look very attentively into the society to detect who was doing something interesting and to work with them. And I think that this should remain our core. This is why I said it's easy to have a lot of ideas of what could be eco-social as a social design. So we are designers, we invent something. But at the moment, we should in some way go back of 10 years when we started to detect in the society what were not clear what the new way of social innovation will be. So we was looking to the creative communities and we worked with those creative communities. We amplify. I remember one of the first projects done in Parsons was called Amplifying. That was exactly looking what happened somewhere, giving more visibility. Because at that time, social innovation was really something that you have really to look into the society to find them. I find that the first move that we should do, and in my view for this, it should be mandatory, before inventing something, looking in the society and looking for example of social innovation driven by environmental or political reasons. That is not so obvious to find them. And I think that this should remain our core. So what, because luckily there are so many people now in the School of Design, and not only, they deal with social issue, and this is good, so I'm fantastic. But what keep us, this group of people together? Well, I will not pretend that it's what I'm saying now, but historically, I would say that we were the one that was not only making a workshop and inventing how to sell the world, but it was looking in the society, recognizing who was doing something and working with them. Not only, we did also something else, but this has been the element that distinguishes us from the others. So given that these eco-social communities are not so visible at the moment, it's mandatory for us to spend some time, some energy to try to create a first repository of eco-social communities that are not our projects, are something that happens in the society. So it's not said that it has to be as I'm saying. So I represent in some way the history. So I try to keep some element of continuity with the past. It could be changed. But in my view, this is what did us particular. And I think that we should restart with this attitude, but changing a little bit the focus, the criteria that we use to recognize what is interesting in the society.
Thank you, Ezio.
Okay.
So Teresa, thank you so much for this conversation and to guide. It is your first. It was a first conversation with you. So yeah. I'm in the coordination role until 31 December. 1st January is Teresa. So we will inform you how you can reach her and to send ideas to her. I will concentrate the focus on DESIS students and other initiatives and support Teresa in this transition. So
yeah, and I would like just to, I will ask Gisela and Anna to say hi. So for
hello,
so people will see your faces and recognize we will be the ones that have this huge challenge of doing better than Carla, Matilda, and Ingrid, which will be difficult. We will try to do our best.
Yes, it's very challenging. That's why I share with you. We need to, I invite you, we need to know, I invite you to be very supportive of Teresa, because your role, the networker is you. So thank you very much. So I performed my role as coordinator is to organize the assembly. This was my last assembly as coordinator. I participate just bringing ideas and trying to support Teresa in her activities. But until 31 December, we will be here with Ingrid and Mateus, that I say thanks again. And all ideas, please, and all motivations you have, and now it's very important for us. And I would like to thank you very much for all DESIS labs that have supported the coordination all over these years. I've included Tonji and Jiangnan DESIS lab with the Expo. I include Emily Carr now in this, just to mention some. I have the risk to exclude someone, but now in the DESIS students process, bringing and connecting with us students. And so this is being very important for DESIS. And for the insights now, the possibilities for the labs to interact is really the most important things of DESIS. Thank you very much for these years together. And I will stay here, but it will be Teresa in front of and guiding. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you for all the nice work you have done for all of us.
Thank you. Historical Assembly. So nice to see you.
We can take a picture. We can take a picture, a final picture together. Say cheese. Okay. And I have to take another one because we are still many. Okay, perfect.
Ciao. See you.
Bye, you guys. Keep safe and take care.
Same. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.